Bitcoin is breaking out of this huge consolidation formation and we are ready for the next move to the top side. We had another insane week full of crazy price action for Bitcoin, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly what my price targets are for next week. So of course there's a lot to talk about for Bitcoin on the charts, and I will tell you everything you need to know to be prepared for next week. There's a lot of interesting data and news coming into the market which I will discuss with you in this video. So just sit back, relax and enjoy the video, because I'm also going to look at the two altcoins, Injective and Cardano, but about that later in the video. So don't forget to slap up that like button, follow me on my socials, and let's dive right into the charts. Yesterday Bitcoin opened its CME gap around the $91,750, and this is the highest CME gap ever created by Bitcoin, because this is a CME gap almost around the $92,000, and I think that Bitcoin will trade around this level during the weekend. But last week we also had a very volatile weekend, and if we then look at the last CME gap, we can see that Bitcoin opened its CME gap around the $76,532, and then we saw a huge pump on Sunday and we didn't come back to this level to close the CME gap. So this gap is still open. But of course this huge volatile weekend last week was insane. And let's see if we can see another weekend like that. But I of course think that we will just trade around this CME gap of around the $91,750. And that will eventually see a short close after the weekend is over. And Bitcoin finally broke out of this huge consolidation formation and we are seeing a bullish break. And on my socials I was telling you about this huge breakout and that you could have been prepared for this. So we are seeing a huge consolidation for Bitcoin. And we can see multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and also on the lower side we saw a lot of touch points as support. And finally we bounced from the support, we broke out bullish, but now we can see a little bit of a consolidation here. But of course we could see a potential throwback to this level to test this resistance as support, and from there we can aim for higher target. And this of course will bring us to new all-time highs. So we are now seeing this continuation pattern for Bitcoin unfolding, and after this huge consolidation we are seeing a bullish break to the top side, which is very nice to see. And the breakout target of this formation will be somewhere around the $95,000. So there's still a long road for Bitcoin to go. But of course, after this bullish continuation, we are now seeing this bullish breakout. And I think we will see levels around the $100,000 even in November already. And yesterday the Bitcoin ETF saw a bit of a bearish day. We saw a total outflow of $370 million. The numbers for BlackRock are not even in yet, so this could mean that we also can see a little bit of positive inflow. But for now we are seeing a negative outflow, and this means that the Fidelity and the ARK Invest Bitcoin ETF are selling like crazy for their Bitcoin positions. So this is having a little bit of a bearish effect on the price of Bitcoin. But of course in the last weeks we saw the spike to the top side in the total cumulative inflow, which was very bullish for the price of Bitcoin. And if we then have a look at Ethereum, we can see an outflow of 59.8 million net outflow. So this was also having a little bit of a bearish effect on the price of Ethereum. So let's see what the next week can bring us for the Ethereum and the Bitcoin ETFs. And also yesterday on my socials I was discussing this huge falling wedge formation for Bitcoin. We gained this previous resistance area, we retested as support, and then we also had some topside resistance with multiple touch points here. And eventually we are now seeing a bullish continuation with a break of this huge resistance area. And as I was saying, we could potentially see a little bit of a throwback to retest these lower levels as support. And then we can see a continuation of the bullish price action. But for now we are seeing this beautiful gain for Bitcoin. So this is looking very bullish. And let's see if Bitcoin can see a continuation of the price in the coming week. And also yesterday I've been talking about this huge bullish divergence on my socials. And as I was saying, we saw a Bitcoin hidden bullish divergence because we saw higher lows on the charts, and on the RSI we saw lower lows. So this bullish divergence could unfold in the coming hours, as I was saying, and that we could see maybe another pump. And if we have a look on the charts, we can see this hidden bullish divergence was exactly playing out like expected. We saw a nice pump to the top side because the selling pressure was cooling off a little bit. Then we saw the RSI was climbing upwards, and that meant that Bitcoin is having a pump to the top side. So this hidden bullish divergence is now playing out like clockwork, and you could have been prepared for this. So this is just a beautiful thing to see. And I want to show you some interesting data, because if we have a look at Google Trends, we can see that the Bitcoin search term is having a little bit of a spike to the top side, and that means that retail is searching again for Bitcoin. So in the last 5 years we saw a huge decline in this search term. And we're now seeing a spike to the top side, which means that the retail is coming back to the market. And we also see that in the search term for altcoins and of course also meme coins. So this could have a very positive effect on the price of crypto, because eventually retail will come into the market and they will pump our backs because they will eventually buy the top again. And this is exactly what we want to see. And if we're going to see a lot of retail coming into the market, they will FOMO into the market and they will create a huge blow off top for Bitcoin, altcoins and meme coins. And if we zoom out to the daily time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is creating this huge downtrend in the last months, and we're now in this huge uptrend with higher lows and higher highs. And eventually we saw this huge exponential move to the top side, and yesterday Bitcoin closed its highest daily candle ever, and that was around the $91,000. So this is insane, of course. So however, we are now creating this higher high on the daily uptrend, but of course we could potentially also see a little bit of a bearish scenario unfolding, and that we're coming back to lower levels to create a higher low level. And from there, you can enter the market again for Bitcoin, because in a huge uptrend, you want to buy every throwback. And if we're, for instance, going to create a higher low play, you want to buy more Bitcoin in this higher low. And eventually, of course, this huge uptrend is still intact. So the trend is your friend until it ends, and it doesn't end because we are still in this huge uptrend. So the trend will be invalidated if we're going to create a lower low, and that means that we will see levels below the $66,000. So if Bitcoin is coming down, we can come all the way back down, because this will still even be in higher low play, and this could be also mean that we're still in this huge uptrend. So I will just keep repeating it. If Bitcoin is going to create a higher low, you want to enter the market in a long or just spot buy order, because this could be the last dip before we see the $100,000. And this week I've also been discussing this chart with you, which is that Bitcoin is in this huge parabolic uptrend. And of course we could also see a little bit of a throwback to come back to this region of this huge support area of the parabolic uptrend. So for instance, if Bitcoin is coming to this region, I'm going to buy more Bitcoin, because I think that if Bitcoin is going to create a higher low from here, because from there we could see a huge exponential move to the top side, and this could be also the last move of this huge bullish uptrend. So let's see what Bitcoin can do in the coming week. Are we going to just continue to pump from here, or are we going to see a little bit of a throwback and then we can just aim for higher targets? Yesterday we also had a lot of interesting news articles coming in, and that was that Goldman Sachs discloses $710 million in Bitcoin ETF holdings. So this is insane, of course, and a couple of years ago they were so anti-Bitcoin, and now they just disclosed that they are holding for $710 million in Bitcoin. So this is insane, of course, and this is one of the biggest banks in America. So for instance, if a lot of other banks in the world are going to follow their example, we will see a huge pump for Bitcoin. And the ARK Invest CEO, Katie Wood, says that Bitcoin will hit $650,000 to $1.5 million by the year of 2030. So this is of course an insane price target, and let's see what will happen. But of course I think this is not unthinkable, and of course it won't happen in this cycle, but of course we will see a huge spike to the top side in the coming years. And let me know in the comments what your price target for Bitcoin is in 2030. And the first altcoin I want to have a look at is Injective. We can see that Injective was in this huge falling wedge formation, and I've been discussing this falling wedge formation on my socials with you. We saw a bullish break to the top side, then we also saw this huge resistance area coming into play. We saw a little bit of rejection. We retested this previous resistance as support multiple times, and from this bullish retest you could have entered the market in the long and then aim for higher targets, just like I've been saying to you on my socials. We now see a huge pump to the top side. We broke above this huge resistance area, which is very bullish. And if we're closing in on this chart, we can see we also made a bullish retest from this level. So this is looking very bullish, of course. And we now want to see a bullish continuation of the price for Injective, and that we're coming closer to this next big resistance. And this will also be confluent with the breakout target of the falling wedge formation, and that will be around the $31 or $32. So this could be a very interesting gain to make for Injective, and if you bought at this bullish retest, you could make an interesting gain of 35% on Injective. And of course, this big resistance will be next to break, and if we're going to break this one to the top side, retest it as support, then we can aim for higher targets, and then we can also aim for this previous all-time high, which is around the $52. And of course, another interesting altcoin which is showing a lot of interesting price action the last weeks is Cardano. We can see that Cardano was in this huge consolidation formation for the last months, and I was telling you about this formation since April. So in this downtrend I've been stacking up more Cardano for the long term, and eventually we saw this huge spike to the top side. The breakout target was getting hit, and we also saw this huge resistance area was coming into play. and we saw some price interactions around this level, and eventually we saw a huge pump to the top side, and we're now coming closer to these previous highs, which will act as huge resistance as well, and this will be around the $0.77. So we now flip this huge resistance area to the top side, so we can paint it green, and let's see if Cardano can potentially see a little bit of a throwback to test lower levels as support, because after this bullish gain we didn't retest this resistance area again. So if we're going to see a retest of this resistance area to test this at support, I'm going to enter the market for Cardano in the long, because we are in this huge uptrend, and I think Cardano will see the $1 mark getting hit in this year still. So let me know what your price targets for the Cardano are in 2025, and if we're going to see levels around the $5. So please give a like if you think this video was useful. Don't forget to follow me on my other socials, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.